Welcome back, Officer of Public Course on Honorable Police Chief APGAINS. A question I get asked a lot is when is a good time to either fix up teams that you already have to make them more serviceable for whatever part of GAC you're in versus starting new farms. Now, this has changed obviously over the years, but in the GAC climate, let's just say that we exist in right now, um, you tread a very fine line. Um, the reason I say that is the pace at which CG, at least in the last calendar year to calendar year and a half, has pushed out meta significant changes, characters, teams, all that sort of good stuff, um, is pretty quick. In the past, we've gone long cycles, half a year to 9 months to almost a year at some point many years ago, where true meta shifting things weren't happening very frequently. Yes, you would get like a team that would, um, you know, polarize and really change the game, like a Galactic Legend or something like that. But recently, I mean, we're getting things. We've gotten the last three conquests are probably going to be significant. Significant. I think we can all agree. Bane was pretty important. Uh, wasn't playing for that, so don't have Bane. Probably won't have him anytime soon. Queen Amidala team looks to be serviceable. I haven't seen the testing, though. Testing's out. I'll need to do a little bit more research. To be perfectly honest, I've been caught up with with work and with Cube AI stuff recently. Um, and then the next one, Luthen. I don't even know. I think he might actually be in the game. Maybe we can throw him up here if he's actually been added to the game. He has. It remains to be seen how game changing he is for his two different squad variations, but there's at least a hypothetical chance that he's useful. Gungans are proving to be a pretty powerful team, um, so on and so forth. Especially because we're probably going to be getting new ships soon. The rate at which the game is changing, not changing, but the rate at which the game is introducing powerful enough meta significant teams has ramped up in the last year or so. That being said, in times of slow changes, it's probably a good idea to frequently every half million, every million, really iron down and fix some teams. I suggest, and I have for years, that everyone puts together like a projects tab, just so you can like keep an eye on what you want to do. I mostly use projects not for like new farms or anything like that, but more so things that need to be cleaned up. Yes, you'll see long-term projects in there just for, organizational purposes, but you'll notice that, Zori coming up, getting this team slightly more viable. You'll see a long-term thing here that I probably won't do anytime soon. A couple extra relics here, a couple extra relics here, a couple extra relics here. I like to just keep that there so that I can see, you know, once I finish a farm, is there something within striking distance that wouldn't put me too far out of some big meta shifting or meta important change or character or team that's come to the game. And if I have that opportunity, I strike. So there's not really a set half million, quarter million, whatever it was, where years ago you used to be able to kind of justify that. It's more so you finish something, does it lead into something else? One thing that we've been working on trying to put together, and I think Cube AI will probably be better to do it than a human, to be perfectly honest, once it's fully trained and all that stuff. If you want to help us test that out as it comes out very slowly, because this kind of stuff is apparently complicated. I don't know, because I don't do the click clacky code stuff. I'm reliant on people much smarter than myself to figure that out. But we do need help testing. We've had a huge drop off in Patreon, obviously, as we've kind of been relocating 5 or 6 times in the last year or so. So if you want to help, link in the description, join the Patreon. Once you're on the Patreon, go to settings, connections, apps, link your Discord. You automatically join the Discord server where you can test out the cube. We need people once this starts popping up to help us iron out any bugs, because the moment to strike on fixing a team versus starting a new farm is becoming complicated enough where once we can identify viable chunks, your JKL, JML, profundity, whatever chunk it is that you decide to do, um, you probably are going to largely finish a chunk, fix up a couple of teams in anticipation of, an entry point into a chunk becoming accelerated rate, some sort of event to give you more kairos, bullshit like that. One thing that I did is after I finished up Cal Kestis and stuff like that, I started cleaning up a couple of teams in anticipation of going pretty gung ho into the Gungans, not to gung ho, you know what I'm trying to say. And so I was able to pick up a couple teams there. Now that's largely because the Gungans are not part of any chunk. They're new enough to the game where there's no overlap. They're a very insular team. Some teams are, some teams aren't. If I had gone into I don't know. If I had gone into what am I even missing? What shit do I not even have? If I were to go into, ironing out Bad Batch or whatever, I probably would have had to go ironing out Bad Batch, Lord Vader, get a couple of the ships, get the Marauder, do some other stuff there, pick up a more offensive focused team after that. You start to get into these patterns where you start doing something that it leads very logically into another thing, and you can kind of get stuck for 6 to 9 months in those little areas. So if you're doing a lot of the newer teams, examples would be like, even not even a newer team, even like Inquisitors. Inquisitors kind of are insular. Yes, you can use some Inquisitors to make Lord Vader more powerful, so it would behoove you to do that. But like some versions of the Mandalorians, Jar Jar, obviously, a couple of Imperial teams, they're a little bit more insular. But be careful if you go gung ho into one thing that leads into a bunch of other things, and then you get, up a couple divisions in GAC, and you're finding out that you have, 80% of the teams that you need at the level that you need them in order to compete with your opponents, and you lose a couple of battles and you get bumped down, and you go through the vicious GAC cycle at that point. So I would say largely, if you're operating in a chunk of any kind, you should probably see it through. Whether you go Jedi Knight Luke, JML, Jedi Knight Luke, Jabba, or something like that, like you can pick your fork in the road, your branch you're gonna take. But getting to the end, I would probably suggest you break up chunks with 1 to 2 team improvements. Like after I finished, my God, why am I brain farting? The ironing out some more JML stuff into Cal Kestis. I fixed up, I think, 2 teams. Fuck, it's been so long. Which teams were they? I ironed out a little bit of the where is it? I ironed out a little bit more of this squad. I added this relic, and actually this was already at 7. I planned on bumping here. I added a couple more relics over here to like bullshit teams. I need to do Wampa. I am currently doing Zori. I'll have her tomorrow once, in a couple hours when it resets. Actually, I think it just reset. We can get it right now. But while I'm doing that, I'm doing the beginning stages of an insular team like Jar Jar. Oh, apparently I gotta. When does this fucking reset? Oh, maybe it changed to midnight. Maybe I reset at midnight. Yeah. I know that was kind of a little all over the place, but welcome back to APGAINS videos. I need help thinking of a theme for the month. I'm thinking just remind everyone that that APGAINS is on retiring June. It's a little, maybe we'll turn that into an acronym of some kind, but what you guys think? As always, I love you and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.